Hello, everyone. Dr. Tom O'Brien, and I have a remarkable guest with me that I'm so excited to introduce to you. And I want to tell you about my friend, Robyn Openshaw. Most of you know that I came into this world of autoimmunity through the lens of a sensitivity to wheat, and that I have been talking about gluten sensitivity for many, many years now on stages all over the world, and the problems with gluten sensitivity, how it can manifest as this disease or this disease or this disease. And I realized that gluten is just one of the triggers that can set off the whole world of autoimmunity. Thus my book, The Autoimmune Fix, that came out a few months ago. Well, we are now speaking to the pioneer, and I would say the godmother of the world of detoxing, that Robyn had. This is her background. You know, my background in gluten sensitivity, I think part of it's because I was a baker. Some of you don't know this, but in my 20s, my early 20s, in undergrad school, I was a baker making 48 loaves of bread a day, every day. Locally famous bread that people would come to buy, destination bread. It was really good. Robyn's history brought her into the world of detoxing. She has been to 19 different detoxification clinics around the world, experiencing how they do things and taking the best of this and the best of that. And she's put together a program that now 10,000 people have done. So first, I want to say, Robyn, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to my tribe today.
Oh, I have nothing better to do. I so appreciate being here, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you. And so second, tell us first some of the results. You were telling me some stories before we turned on the camera. Share with the audience some of the results that you've seen from these thousands of people that have gone through this.
Yeah, after 10,000 people have gone through this 26-day protocol that I put together after 20 years of research and globe-trotting to every clinic that does a good job of this. And turns out one of the researchers / clinicians that his work really influenced mine, you knew personally. He lived into his 90s, Dr. Bernard Jensen. But you know, what happens when you devote yourself to a cleanse process and you can totally go to work? Most people have more energy. Some people have less energy as they start to slough off, as everything starts really coming out of liver, kidneys, lymphatic system, the blood, the colon. But the amazing good things that happen, and many of them are really long-term, and people find themselves changed for life. My favorite one is probably the connections they make in that 26 days between specific foods that they were eating and how they feel and how they look. Probably my second favorite thing that happens for people is an emotional cleansing. And I know that you're inviting people into my video masterclass that we're making available to your audience. But when you are releasing all these undigested proteins that are flooding through your blood and lymphatic system, so many different organs of the body, when you start really cleansing those because the body has time and space to, and we're not eating any inflammatory foods, and we're not eating any glutens, and we're not eating any processed foods or chemicals. When we eat a really nourishing, high fiber, high micronutrient diet for 26 days, plus we're doing a bunch of processes to increase the throughput, get it out, keep it from getting stuck. Decreased inflammation is a very common result. People talk about their joints haven't felt like this for 20 years. It's like when your joints hurt and you feel inflammation for long enough, you forget what it felt like, what it was to feel good.
Right.
The average weight loss, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people fill out the questionnaire afterwards and tell us what their weight loss was, what any cleansing symptoms that they had. You know, sometimes when, you know, your lymphatic system gets blocked from so much throughput, everything's coming out, you know, you can have some uncomfortable symptoms. But then we asked them what the health benefits were. Decreasing inflammation, joints feeling better, brain fog clearing, average weight loss. I'm talking about an average is 12.5 pounds, which is pretty remarkable for 26 days.
Well,
and we've had
are they limited in calories? Is this they're losing weight because they're
No.
not eating very much?
No, they can eat as much as they want, and if they're hungry, then they're not following the plan. There are legal cheats. There's no portion control. The foods are just, unlimited. There are some recipes where you're making a batch and it's supposed to last you 3 days. So there's that limitation of, well, if you eat too much of this, you're going to be making this recipe again.
Right.
But there's no calorie counting. There's no counting grams of things. And that's one of the connections people make is, oh my gosh, all this calorie counting that I do, it's sort of an industry manufactured concept. People never counted calories 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, back when we didn't have inflammation, back when we didn't have autoimmune disease. We ate freely of some specific classes of foods that are anti-inflammatory, and they actually help heal your cells. And so we're focusing on those foods. We know what they are. We teach you in this free video class that we're inviting your readers to participate in. We're teaching them what those foods are. And after 26 days of cleaning house, there's always a few of the recipes that people say, this is so good, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to make this on a regular basis. And we love that too.
Two things I want to say, and I should have started this discussion with this. And for many of the people who are receiving this video, you may not know what detoxing is or why it's important to detox. I'm sorry, I should have started with this. And this is what I've said for years to patients. If you leave your car sit for a couple of months for whatever reason, you don't use it, and then you start it up and you floor it, there's a whole bunch of black smoke that comes out the back end, right? It's all this stuff that's been accumulating in the car for a while. And in the lifestyles that we live, with the foods that we eat, we get a whole bunch of crud that just gets stored up in our fat cells, in our liver, our gallbladder, our kidneys. It just gets stored in there. And this stuff is slowly secreting. Some of this toxic stuff is called lipopolysaccharides. And it slowly secretes out into the bloodstream. And the longer we have this and the more of it that we accumulate, the more dysfunction we have, the more inflammation we keep having, and the sicker we get. So what the benefits of detoxing is, one, it's got to be, for me, there's a couple things to it. You have to be able to do your life in a detox. I mean, you can't go sit in a spa for 3 weeks and drink water and bone broth, and that just doesn't cut it. It has to be something that you can do in your current life. 2, it has to be something that's easy. 3, it's got to be scientifically based. I'm just making this up right now. I didn't think this out ahead of time, but these are the things that are important to me. And 4th, and this is a question I have for you, Robyn, do you have any information on the impact on the microbiome from doing the detoxing that you're talking about?
I want to talk about the microbiome, impact on the microbiome of detoxing. I want to mention, because you touched on some good stuff there, that your body is going to hold on to fat stores if those fat stores have a big job to do. And the job that your fat store is doing, especially around the middle, is protecting your critical organs from toxicity. And I liked your metaphor of when you start the car up after it being in the garage for a long time and what happens. Another metaphor that I like to use is, can you imagine if you drove your car into the Dust Bowl in the 1930s and you just drove it and you drove it and you drove it and you never changed your air filter or your oil filter? I mean, how long? I don't know if the Model T had air filters and oil filters, probably some primitive form of it. But, people are always saying to me, well, detoxing is a bunch of baloney because that's what I have a liver for, and that's what I have kidneys for, and that's what I have, respiratory system for. And it's true. So much of your body's, organs, so many of your organs, that's their whole purpose, is they're filtering and detoxing. The problem is your great-grandfather wasn't breathing, drinking, and eating 84,000 approved chemicals.
Yeah, and the liver, the kidney, the lungs, they're designed to function and to screen toxic stuff coming in for the way our ancestors lived.
Yeah.
10,000, 5,000 years ago. Now,
yeah, it's a dust bowl now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's an environmental dust bowl. It's a chemical bowl. For those of you that have read my book, you know that it's a primary trigger to the development of autoimmune diseases is the amount of toxic chemicals we're exposed to. And this stuff accumulates in our body. So the more that
this is why detoxing is so important. And this
Yep.
is why you see this topic trending. And people are selling you all kinds of weird things and calling it detox because more and more of us are becoming aware of how many chemicals we're exposed to. Ladies, if you're watching this, if you are using the average number of cosmetics and skincare products, personal care products, you're being exposed to 100 chemicals a week just in your skincare products, let alone, you know, fluoridated, chlorinated water. And so the thing that I discovered over 20 years ago, which interested me personally and would later interest me professionally and become my life's work, is that it completely, you know, we could get really depressed talking about 84,000 chemicals in the environment, water, food. It's like, I can't fight that. Now, we can't fight it. There's certain things we can do. We can stop buying the most toxic stuff. And we teach that inside the detox. You're going to get a really strong grasp on what to avoid and what to do more of. But doing a twice-a-year detox is an absolute game changer. And I believe it's become necessary. And it might seem like a weird thing that our great-grandparents did, but we don't live in the environment that our great-grandparents did.
No, this is a topic that I have known was one that I needed to put attention on because I want to carry the message out to the world how to be healthier and how to survive this crazy world we live in from a biochemical point of view and the foods that we're eating. And this topic is one that, admittedly, I really hadn't developed the message yet. So when I heard about what you're doing and your background, Robyn and I have known each other for a number of years now, but I didn't really know how much she had dialed this down. I just knew her to be a great person, great support, supports me, and I support her in her work, but I didn't know the depth of what you're doing. And I'm tickled. By the way, I'm going to declare right now, I'm doing your 26-day program. I'm going to do it. And I will post about it. I don't post. My wife will post for me. Marzi loves to post. So she'll post as we go through, if she chooses to do it also, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to post about it. So I wanted to invite all of you to consider doing this with me. Follow Robyn's program, and we have a link right below the screen. It's the doctor.com /smoothie. Robyn's known as the green smoothie girl. So /smoothie, SMOOTHIE. The link's right below. Click on it, watch these videos, see if it fires you up enough to say, you know what, I'll do this with Dr. O'Brien. I'll do it. Sure. So check into it and see what you think. Robyn, do you have any other bullet points that we should include here?
Well, I didn't answer your question about the microbiome, so let me come back to that.
Thank you. Yes. You
know, there's so much new science coming out. It's really exciting and hopeful that it's not much fun that most Americans have a lot of inflammation in their gut, and we're talking 35 feet of your gut. So if you look in the room that you're in, if it's an average size room, it's like 12 feet long. Just imagine your gut, your small intestine, and your large intestine, which is our target number one in our 26-day detox, is to get that 35 feet of tubing. If we're being sort of, you know, Newtonian about it, we're getting it cleaned out. Now, if you laid it end to end, it would be 3 times as long as the room that you're in, probably, if you're in the average size room. And then if you cut it open and you spread it all out, which is really gross, I know, obviously no one would do this, but there's so much surface area there, it covers a tennis court. And so we think about our skin and we obsess about our skin and we put stuff on our skin, but the skin that we should be the most worried about, and actually that skin shows up on this skin, is that 35 feet and that tennis court sized skin inside our GI tract. And because of all the constant provocation from these glutens that Dr. Tom has taught you about so well, and so many other environmental factors and foods that are triggers, there's so much inflammation going on our skin that one of the major things that we can do to ease that inflammation is clean it out. Clean out all the residuals, the chemicals. You know, Dr. Bernard Jensen got catarrhal mucoid plaque out of people. And I did not believe that there was tire rubber in me when I did my first hardcore detox when I was 26 until I saw it come out myself.
I did a 10-day detox, and on day 7, I started to follow his protocol. I had the same rubber stuff after 7 days of not eating. It was like, oh, what is this? And after that, I was sold. I
Makes
was
a
sold.
picture out of you.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And his protocol, we leverage some of the same benefits of his protocol, but I don't make people not eat for 21 days. I did his thing in my 20s where I ate no food for 3 weeks straight. And that is how I proved to myself that there is this tire rubber caused by a lifetime of, I wasn't a baker, but I, was eating white bread and meat. You put white bread and meat together, you're just making glue, right?
Yeah. Three Musketeers, Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I grew up Raisinets and Goobers. I grew up on all that stuff. And, the residue of all that is the black smoke coming out the back end of the exhaust when you floor it after the car's been sitting for a few months. That's what we want, is to help all of us clean out so that we are better able to handle the toxic environment that we're going to be exposed to every day for the rest of our lives. So you want, and that's why you do this twice a year. And I think that's a brilliant idea, that is going to help your immune system not get overwhelmed with accumulative debris and be more available to deal with the current exposures that we get. So about the microbiome and the bacteria, any information on that?
So you are cleaning out chemical and residuals from a lifetime of eating bad food. You're also getting a lot of fiber, and those can kind of coat the villi of your small intestines so that you're able to then retain your good probiotics and build up that healthy flora that many people are missing, especially people who've been on antibiotics. And I don't mean if you've been on antibiotics this year, I mean if you've been on antibiotics ever.
Right.
And the antibiotics that they're coming out with in the last 5 or 10 years, we're seeing, and I'm sure Dr. Tom's been talking to you about this, but we're seeing people who get it end up in terrible conditions with SIBO and candida overgrowth. And, and it could take a really long period of time to recover from that and get your gut health back. But you can get your gut health back. After people finish the detox, we introduce them to that. What happens is they're coming to the end of the 26 days. This is the number one question we get, Tom. I have heard this literally hundreds and hundreds of times. They'll say, I feel so amazing. I have not felt this good in so many years. I don't want to lose the benefits here. I'm not going to be following this strict eating plan after these 26 days. How can I keep the benefits going? And then we have another free video masterclass we give to the people who are in the detox. And we show them our 12 steps to whole foods course. Now, this is the lifestyle course, and that's not what this chat that you and I are having is about, but that's where we teach them. In one of the 12 steps, we teach them all the different fermented foods from all over the world, and pick and choose, and pick. If you have gut issues and you're thinking about that tennis court full of skin inside you and you don't see it, so it's easy to ignore. You never ever see your liver. You never ever see the inside of your, digestive tract if you're lucky. But we shouldn't ignore them. We should imagine them and respect and honor them. I mean, your liver is serving you in over 500 different ways, and you replace your liver every 90 days. And so if I am replacing every single cell in my liver and I spend 26 days completely cleaning it and giving it nothing but nurturing foods and optimization strategies to get everything so clean, you're going to have a new liver. It's going to serve you better. You're going to look better and feel better in literally at least 500 ways. So bottom line is, another way that you heal the microbiome and you end up with strong gut health. I don't have any of these symptoms that people talk about. I don't have gut reactivity. I don't have any of these digestive issues. And it's because I'm pretty vigilant about twice a year detoxing. And then the vast majority of my diet, and it's not that I don't ever have a glass of wine, and it's not that I don't ever drink coffee. I have my sins. But 90% of what I eat is whole foods. And so then we teach you whole foods, and especially for the microbiome, we teach you cultured foods. And cultured foods plus lots of fiber are so key after you've cleaned out all the chemical crap that you've built up, chemical and residuals of a crappy diet. Clean that up, eat lots of fiber ongoing every day, and that's going to happen if we teach you delicious, inexpensive, easy ways to do it. So that's our goal. And then cultured foods, okay? Cultured foods will just pass right through you if you aren't also eating a lot of fiber. So just have to teach you ways to do it that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Everyone has heard me say in the past about fermented vegetables and how important it is to include cultured foods and fermented vegetables on a regular basis every day in your diet. So for everyone out there, this concept of detoxing is one that I believe everyone needs to understand the basics of. You don't need the geeky science stuff, you know, but the basics of it and how to embrace it, how to begin with this. And I think that this 26-day program is an excellent way to be introduced to a very dialed in, highly efficient, successful way of detoxing. So there is a link below for these videos that you can watch and to get more specific information. And I hope you'll join me on the other side. Robyn, thank you so much for your time, and thanks so much for putting the program together.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thank you.